All right, so what I'm going to show you here is not going to show you, I'm going to tell you, is I'm just going to go down the semantics test, and I'm going to tell you basically what they are.
Yes.
Like a study guide.
Like a study guide.
Yes. Okay. The first question I'm just going to tell you because you should be anticipating it by now. Well, so how about this? I'll ask you first. Definition of what? Ah, yes, that would be a good one to know. Yeah. Question 2. It would be wise to take a look at which slide? Slide number 5.
Cool.
Okay. Question 3 is a matching question. And what it is there are 8 different sentences. And those sentences, some of them are examples and some of them are definition. And you have to match what is affective, what is referential, and what is social meaning. So it'll have sentence, and that sentence is either a definition, you'll say, that is affective. Or that's an example of social.
What was the other one?
Referential. So the 3 types of meaning that are described beginning on slide 9 and continues through slide 11, and then there are examples after that. Question 4 will be the most difficult, that there are a bunch of examples and definitions, and it's also matching. And I actually say definition or example so that you know the difference. And it will be the definition of gradable antonyms, the definition of hyponymy, the definition of converseness, the definition of part-whole relationship. The lexical items are all going to be listed, and then there are definitions and examples of each of them. Some of them are used more than once, and some of them are used only once. And you will go through and say, this is the example of hyponymy, antonymy, like that. Okay? That's only the most difficult, not because it's the most difficult in content, but just because there's a lot of variables. It's a big chunk. It's a lot of different definitions and a lot of different possible answers. That's why it's difficult. So when you get to that question, you don't necessarily need to freak out that it's so long. Instead, just stay focused, and you might even want to say, okay, I know what hyponymy is, so there's the definition and there's the example. Okay, and I don't see an example for that one, so let's move on, or whatever. Right, so take a deep breath on that one.
Is this open book?
It is not.
Okay. Is antonymy and hyponymy and synonymy?
I'm sorry?
All the lexical items.
All the lexical items. I just use those as an example.
4, 5, 6.
Next, I start talking about, let's see what slide it's on. There's the lexical meanings. Okay, next, beginning on slide 30, I start talking in the slides there, and the book talks about how meaning changes depending on different aspects of the language. So word order, semantic role, function words, tense, aspect, reference, deixis, context, right? So those concepts, I will, in the test, the next several questions, I say blank in a sentence can determine or change meaning by, and then I will show an example, and then you choose which one it is. So, oh, that's an example of how the meaning is changed because of word order. That's an example of meaning that's changed because of semantic role, or tense, or aspect, or reference. Okay? So, for questions 5, 6, 7, 8, so 5 through 8, the answer options are all the same. Word order, semantic role, tense, aspect, reference. So you should be able to identify the definition and an example or examples of each one of those concepts. Okay? Then it'd be wise to know what the definition of deixis is. It would be wise to know what semantic role refers to. Let me find the slide. It would be wise to review slide 32 for question 11. Yep, slide 32. Question 12, what I have there, I'll just read it to you. The first part of it I'm just going to read to you. In the sample sentence below, what is the personal, spatial, and temporal deixis words? Okay, so then I have a sentence there, and then then the rest of it is matching. So then I have each one of those words to the side, and you say, oh, that's the word that's the personal deixis, that's the one that's the spatial deixis, and that one is the temporal deixis. Okay, so you should be able to identify on an applicable level what each of those concepts mean, and so that you could view in a sentence and you would know how that applies. Okay. Also would be wise to understand the general definition of, the general application of context. Then the last question, question 14, what I have is, I have a comic, and I am asking you how it's a demonstration of semantics. So it's, again, applicable knowledge of, I say, does it mean this? It's a drawing of this, and it means that. So you're going to have to look at it and figure out how or if it is a demonstration of semantics.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but is it a comic you've used before?
I wouldn't answer that.
Okay, I figured.
Mm-hmm.
If we use the word pedandant, do we get extra credit?
Only if you use it correctly. So the point is that you need to understand the application of the concept. Okay? And that's the test. That's the semantics test.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going back my little Nazi sign, but not Nazi sign.
You're not.